welcome. If I haven't practiced with you before, my name is Lisa, so it's nice. Thank you for coming this Saturday morning. I am going to be keeping my eye on the screen for the first couple of minutes because I see that there's still people joining. So welcome, Michelle. So today we're going to have a goddess Vinyasa practice. So we're going to connect with the goddess Lakshmi. So she's the Hindu goddess of love, beauty, and abundance. To get started, though, we're going to get started on our back. So you can just come to your back, soles of the feet on the earth, knees facing the sky. You can have one hand on the belly, one hand on the heart. And this is called constructive rest. And we'll just take a moment to arrive here. So maybe you close your eyes. You can start to turn inward a little bit. Start to notice that as you inhale, the belly rises, and just as you exhale, the belly goes back down. Just body and breath working together. Now continue to work together throughout our practice. So breathing here. Welcome, Amanda. So we're starting off on our back today, one hand on the belly, one hand on the heart. So today we're going to talk a little bit about the goddess Lakshmi. So as I had just mentioned, she's the Hindu goddess of beauty, love, and abundance. And she's often considered the auspicious goddess, which means lucky. So she bestows great fortune really on her devotees. So Lakshmi epitomizes grace, gratitude, and generosity. So really, she has an energy where it flows both ways. So she bestows great gifts, but she also expects others to bestow gifts as well too, and to be grateful for what they have. So in this practice, we're going to connect with Lakshmi's energy, her Shakti, of grace, gratitude, and generosity. So maybe take a moment right here and just consider how it feels when you feel abundant, you feel content and happy, you have what you need, and how that shows up in your body. And we'll continue to try to work with this energy throughout the practice. You can bring your arms wide, coming out onto the earth, anchoring you to the earth. You can drop the knees to the right as you start to gaze to the left. So just a gentle side twist. And then dropping the knees to the other side as you gaze to the right. Coming back up through center, maybe just take a couple more. Dropping the knees, rotating left and right. You can go your own pace, stretching out the body. You can give the knees a hug in. Maybe rock a little bit from side to side. Grab behind your thighs. You can gently start to rock up to a comfortable seated position. So you can get in a nice seated position. We are going to come into a breathing exercise this morning to start our practice off. So we're going to come into Nadi Shodhana, which is alternate nostril breathing. And what this does is help to balance both of our nervous systems and our energy centers. So the left side of our body is often thought to be the feminine side. The right side is the masculine. So the alternate nostril breathing balances our energy. It also just has a very nice grounding and calming effect. So to start, you can take your middle finger and your pointer finger. You can place it right on your third eye. And you can just close your eyes here. Start to observe the breath, the inhale and the exhale. And then throughout this breathing exercise, and I'll guide you through it, the thumb will be used to close the right nostril and the ring finger the left at different times. But right now we're just breathing evenly throughout both nostrils, in and out. So together we'll take an inhale and an exhale. We'll block the right nostril, inhale through the left. And then blocking the left, exhaling through the right. Inhaling through the right. And blocking the right, exhaling through the left. Inhaling through the left. And blocking the left, exhaling through the right. Inhaling through the right. And blocking the right, exhaling through the left. Inhaling through the left. And blocking the left, exhaling through the right. Inhaling through the right. And blocking the right, exhaling through the left. Inhaling through the left. And blocking the left, exhaling through the right. Inhaling through the right. And blocking the right, exhaling through the left. Inhaling through the left. And blocking the left, exhaling through the right. Now you drop your right hand and just start breathing normally here. Noticing the energy, noticing if you feel any more grounded, calmer. You can bring your hands to heart center. And take a moment to think about something for which you are grateful for. But not just thinking about something, but also think about why you're grateful for it. So maybe instead of saying you're grateful for your kids, it's you're grateful for your kids because they remind you to have fun and be in the present moment. But just think about something in which you feel grateful for. We'll dedicate our practice to that. When you're ready, you can open your eyes. Inhale, hands come high. And then exhale, hands come to heart center. Take the right hand, cross it along the left knee. We'll take a side twist to the left. And keeping the chin away from the chest, spine long. And then the other side. Coming back through center, you can meet me in your tabletop. So in tabletop, shoulders over wrists, hips over knees, gaze is straight down. On an inhale, you'll drop the belly, look up, that's your cow. And then on an exhale, arch the spine, drop the head, and that's your cat. So inhale, drop the belly, look up. And then exhale, arch the spine, drop the head. You can take some more now at your own pace. So just matching breath to movement. Maybe you keep your eyes closed as you start to turn inward. You can check in with your body, see if there's any other shapes or postures that would feel good right now. You can take those. Maybe it's some big hip circles in one direction. And then again in the other. Come back to neutral. And see if you can even rotate your fingers out to the sides or maybe even facing your knees. You can take some little wrist rotation, stretching out the forearms. And then bringing the hands back forward. Getting the hands really flat on the earth. So you can open up the fingers wide, really feeling that connection between the palms and the earth. We'll extend the right leg back so it's parallel to the earth. Hips are squared and gaze is straight down. So the neck isn't dropping, but you can see the back of the head is actually a little bit lifted. Neck is in line with the spine. You can stay with both hands pressing on the earth or reach the left hand forward, just like you're going to shake someone's hand. And starting to engage the core, waking up some of the muscles. You can bring the right foot a little to the right, left hand a little to the left. Holding here. Coming back to center. And then gently, with intention, hand and knee can come back to the earth. Inhale, drop the belly, look up. And then exhale, arch the spine, drop the head. Coming back to your neutral table. This time, left leg will go back, hips stay square to the earth. Right hand reaches forward. And breathing here. And bring the left foot a little to the left, right hand a little to the right. So it's almost like someone painted a diagonal across your body. Coming back through center. Hand and knee can come back down to the earth. Inhale, drop the belly for your cow. And then exhale, arch the spine, drop the head for your cat. Coming right back to neutral. This time we're going to keep the hips over the knees. We'll take a couple steps forward with our hands, coming into our puppy pose. So you can drop the chest down to the earth. Maybe the chin touches the earth or the forehead. You can almost imagine that there's a magnet pulling your chest to the earth. And breathing here. You keep the forearms connected to the earth and you'll shimmy your body back, coming into Sphinx. So in Sphinx, shoulders are over elbows, forearms pressing forward. And this might look like a little kid watching TV, but we're going to make it more active. So forearms press into the earth. You can imagine those elbows pushing back, trying to get towards your ribs. So this is a back bend. And breathing here. You can release down to the earth. We're going to goalpost our arms. So maybe you can come onto tented fingers so they can come off of your mat. So inhale, coming up into a wide cobra. And we'll drop the right shoulder, looking over the left. Coming back up. Dropping the left, looking over the right. Coming back up. Dropping the right, looking over the left. One more time, coming back up. Dropping the left, looking over the right. Rise back up. And you can rise back down to the earth. Hands can come underneath shoulders. Push yourself back up through tabletop. Open the knees wide, sit back, coming into your child's pose. So third eye is resting on the earth. And remember, throughout the practice, if you ever get tired, you can always come into child's pose, even if I don't call it. So this is a posture that's always available to you. You can bring the palms together, prayer hands, bending the elbows. Bring the hands to the nape of the neck, so stretching out the triceps here. You can bring your hands back down to the earth. And then we'll walk the hands over to the right, stretching out the left side of the body. And coming back through center, walk the hands over to the left, stretching out the right side. And coming back through center, can rise up, coming back in through your tabletop. Curl the toes under and lift the hips, coming into downward facing dog. So in downward facing dog, hands are pressed firmly into the earth. And feet are about hips width apart. You can glide forward, coming into your high plank for a moment. So in high plank, that core is engaged, shoulders over wrists, and the belly button's coming back up towards spine. Hips could be slightly lifted, coming close to the level of your shoulders. You can take an inhale here, and then on an exhale, push back to your downward facing dog. And that's going to be about the width of your downward facing dog. So I know it can seem a little wide, but you start to get used to it. And of course, if you need to make it a little bit shorter, you can do that. With hands pressed firmly into the earth, your head will hang right between your biceps. You can keep a little bit of a bend in your knees here, and that helps just to lengthen the spine. And we'll breathe here. So throughout the practice, we're going to remember to try to approach each posture, each movement with grace, being generous with ourselves, and remembering what we are grateful for. So that's really the Lakshmi's energy, her Shakti, that we'll look to cultivate throughout this practice. And again, you can glide forward, coming into your high plank, and then pushing back, downward facing dog. Go high on the tiptoes. Bend the knees here, lengthen the spine. You can walk to the front of your mat. We'll meet in ragdoll forward fold. So feet hips width apart, opposite hand to opposite elbow. You can bend your knees here, almost creating a little shelf for your belly. And then just let the head hang heavy. So with the feet rooted into the earth, and just let the head just drop. Sometimes we like to keep the head lifted. Instead, just let gravity do the work and let it hang. With the feet rooting into the earth, maybe sway a little bit back and forth. Let go of the elbows, bring the hands to the earth. Inhale, bend the knees, lengthen the spine. So we're going to create that flat back. So shoulder blades come back, almost like we were grabbing a pencil in between the shoulder blades. And then forward fold. Inhale, bend the knees, lengthen the spine. And then exhale, forward fold. One more time, we'll bend the knees to lengthen the spine. Shoulder blades come back. And then arms reach out in front of you with the feet rooting into the earth. Rise up to standing, coming right into our extended Tadasana. Keeping the hips squared forward, we'll take a high twist to the right. Coming back up. High twist to the left. Coming back up, we'll take those goddess arms, feet root into the earth. Inhale, look up, opening up the heart, the chest, the throat. And then hands can come to heart center. Inhale, hands come high. And then exhale, bend the knees, forward fold. Inhale, bend the knees, lengthen the spine, bring in the shoulder blades back. You can plant the hands. So step the left foot back, drop the left knee to the earth. Hands can come high to the sky for your low lunge. So here you can drop right into that front leg, opening up the chest, breathing here. Left hand can connect to the earth, twist to the right. Right hand comes back to the earth. You can curl the back toes under. Right foot steps back and we'll come back downward facing dog. And glide forward, coming into your high plank. Now, if high plank is challenging for you, you can always drop down to your knees. You're still building strength. Now, push forward on tiptoes. Come all the way down to the earth. Be a low push-up, keeping those elbows close to the torso, coming down slowly and deliberately. Inhale, pushing up through cobra. Exhale, coming back down. Curl the toes under. Now, you can lift up through high plank or supported plank. And then we'll make our way back. Downward facing dog. Right leg will come high. Three-legged dog on the right. So hips are squared to the earth, that back heel is high. Feeling that line of energy all the way from the palms of your hands to your back heel. You can bend the knee here, opening up the hips towards the right, so hips can stack on one another. You can take some ankle rotations in one direction, and then again in the other. Square the hips back to the earth. You can take an inhale here, exhale, glide forward, bringing right knee to right elbow. Coming back up. Right knee to left elbow. Coming back up. Right knee to nose. Holding it here. And then right foot steps forward, runner's lunge on the right. So if you have blocks, you can bring the blocks to either side of your foot to bring the earth a little bit closer. And breathing here. And drop the back knee to the earth. Straighten out the front leg, coming into your half split. So this doesn't have to be a really deep split. We're just looking for a nice stretch along the hamstring. So you can inhale to lengthen the spine, hips are still squared, and then exhale, just gently hinging at the hips. Walk the hands forward, curl the back toes under, coming back to your runner's lunge on the right. And left foot can come to meet the right. We'll keep the hips low, coming into our downhill skier, so elbows come back by ribs. Feet rooting into the earth. Take an inhale here, exhale, arms sweep back like airplanes. Leg strength brings you right up to standing. Inhale, hands come high. And exhale, hands come to heart center. Inhale, hands come high. And then exhale, we'll bend the knees. Forward fold. Inhale, bend the knees, lengthen the spine, bringing the shoulder blades back. And then you can plant the hands. We'll step the right foot back. Drop the right knee to the earth. Hands come high to the sky, coming into your low lunge now on the left. Breathing here, opening up the chest, the heart. And right hand connects to the earth. We'll twist to the left for our low lunge twist. Left hand comes back to the earth. Curl the back toes under. Left foot steps back. Downward facing dog. Glide forward, coming into your high plank. Keeping that core engaged. And then slowly coming all the way down to the earth via low push-up. Inhale, pushing up through cobra. Exhale, coming back down. Curling the toes under, rising up back through high plank or supported plank. And then downward facing dog. Left leg comes high, three-legged dog on the left. Palms are pressing into the earth, that back heel is back. You can bend the knees, opening up the hip now to the left, so hip can stack on one another. You can take some ankle rotations in one direction, and then again in the other. And you square the hips back to the earth. Take an inhale here, exhale, glide forward, left knee, left elbow. Coming back up, left knee, right elbow. And coming back up, left knee to nose, holding it here. And then left foot steps forward, runner's lunge on the left. So your knee is over ankle, you're on the ball of your back foot here. And drop the back knee to the earth, straighten up that front leg, half split. Inhale to lengthen, exhale, hinging forward. Walk the hands forward, curl the back toes under. Right foot comes to meet the left, downhill skiers. Feet are hips width apart, elbows come back by ribs, spine is long. Taking an inhale here, exhale, arms sweep back. Leg strength brings you straight up to standing. Inhale, hands come high. And exhale, hands come through heart center. So do a couple of sun salutations here. So sun salutation A is just matching breath to movement and waking up the body. So you can go at your own pace as well. We'll make it a moving meditation. So inhale, hands come high. And then exhale, bend the knees, forward fold. Inhale, bend the knees, lengthen the spine, shoulder blades come back. Plant the hands, step back to your high plank. Come into your low push-up. Inhale, upward facing dog. So we'll just pause on this first upward facing dog. So shoelace side of the feet pressing into the earth, shoulders over wrist. Gaze straight ahead. You can take an inhale here, and then on your exhale, lifting the hips, coming back, downward facing dog. And take a big inhale here, maybe side out into your exhale. Inhale, tiptoes. Exhale, bend the knees, walk or hop to the front of your mat. Inhale, bend the knees, lengthen the spine. And then exhale, forward fold. Root down to rise up to standing on it. Inhale, hands come high. Exhale, hands come to heart center. Inhale, hands come high. Exhale, bend the knees, forward fold. Inhale, bend the knees, lengthen the spine. Exhale, plant the hands, step back to your high plank. Low push up. Inhale, upward facing dog. And exhale, downward facing dog. Taking a big breath in here. You can side out. Inhale, tiptoes. Exhale, bend the knees. Walk or hop to the front of your mat. Inhale, bend the knees to lengthen. Exhale, forward fold. Root down to rise up to standing on it. Inhale, hands come high. Exhale, hands come to heart center. Inhale, hands come high. Exhale, bend the knees, forward fold. Inhale, bend the knees, lengthen the spine. And then exhale, plant the hands, step back to your high plank. Low push up. Inhale, upward facing dog. And exhale, downward facing dog. Big breath in, and then sighing it out. Inhale, tiptoes. Exhale, bend the knees, walk or hop to the front of your mat. Inhale, bend the knees to lengthen. Exhale, forward fold. Root down to rise up to standing on the inhale, hands come high. This time drop the hips, coming into your Utkatasana chair pose. So feet are rooted into the earth. They can be hips width apart, or the toes can come together. So see what provides you with more stability, more grounding. And breathing here. And just make sure the chest stays open. So if you feel like your chest is collapsing, maybe you try different positions with your arms. You can come into goddess arms. You can make a V with your arms, keeping the chest open. And sink the hips a little bit lower here. And remember to breathe. Spine is long, hips are low. See if you can go a little bit lower. Knowing that you're stronger than you think you are. And one more inhale. And then exhale, forward fold. Inhale, bend the knees, lengthen the spine. And then exhale, plant the hands. Step back to your high plank. And you can go through a vinyasa, or you can come right back downward facing dog. So remembering to customize your practice, you can think of what I'm saying as suggestions, but really looking inward at your body and taking positions that would feel the most strengthening to you. And breathing here. Right leg comes high. Three-legged dog on the right. Right foot steps forward, back foot dials back. Root down to rise up, warrior one. So in warrior one, both feet are flat on the earth and hips are squared. So sometimes you can even manually square your hips forward. You're really putting a lot of energy into that back foot because that's what's helping to keep the hips squared forward. And breathing here. Now wrap the left arm underneath the right. We'll take eagle arms here. So if the eagle arms don't feel accessible to you, you can also have opposite hand to opposite shoulder. But if you do have eagle, elbows are in line with the shoulders, forearms pressing forward, so you have a nice stretch along the backs of the shoulders. Inhale, you can look up for a little back bend. And then exhale, we'll fold forward, coming into our humble warrior with eagle arms. So we're just letting the head hang heavy here, right on the inside of the right knee. Feet are grounded. And you remember to breathe. Now remember, sometimes in yoga we push through the poses. Throughout this practice, see if you can find the ease in poses. So sometimes we make things even more challenging because of the way we're thinking about it, or we think we need to exert all this energy. I would encourage you to approach each of these poses and try to find where is the ease and the grace that you can find in them. So even the challenging ones, like this is a terribly awkward pose, but where's the ease? How can you make it easier? With the feet rooted into the earth, you can rise back up, coming back into your warrior one. Unwrap your hands. Hands come high to the sky. Maybe then clasp together prayer hands. Look up into a little back bend. And then hands can come right through heart center. Come back to the earth. You can step back to your plank. You can go through a vinyasa or come right back, downward facing dog. The left leg comes high, three-legged dog on the left. The left foot steps forward, back foot dials back. Rise up, coming back into your warrior one. Squaring the hips to the earth. Feeling rooted and strong here. Both feet press firmly into the earth. Gaze is steady, looking straight ahead. We'll take those eagle arms. Right arm wraps underneath left, elbows in line with the shoulders. Inhale, look up for a little mini back bend. And then exhale, we'll fold forward, coming into our humble warrior with our eagle arms. Head is heavy, breathing here. Remember, finding the ease in the pose. And whatever that means to you. With the feet pressing into the earth, maybe cultivate that sense of feeling supported and grounded. And then we root the feet into the earth so we can rise back up, coming back into our warrior one. Unwrap our eagle arms, hands come high to the sky, hips are staying squared forward. Hands can come together up top, prayer hands. Inhale, look up for a little back bend. Exhale, bring hands right through heart center, back to the earth. You can step back to your high plank, low push up. Inhale, upward facing dog. And exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, you can go high on your tiptoes. Exhale, bend the knees, walk or hop to the front of your mat. Inhale, bend the knees, lengthen the spine. And then exhale, forward fold. Drop the hips, coming right back into your chair pose. Hips low, spine long, chest stays open. Take an inhale here, exhale, forward fold. Inhale, bend the knees, lengthen the spine, shoulder blades come back. Plant the hands, step back to your high plank. Low push up. Inhale, upward facing dog. And exhale, downward facing dog. Right leg comes high, three-legged dog on the right. Right foot steps forward, back foot dials back, rise back up, coming back into our warrior one. Okay, we'll take our eagle arms, left arm wraps underneath right. Inhale, look up for a back bend. Exhale, fold forward, humble warrior. Head hangs heavy, just like we were in ragdoll forward fold. We don't need to try to keep it up. Feet root into the earth, rise back up. So we're going to keep our eagle arms, or your variation of eagle arms. It could also be palms together, hands coming to opposite shoulder. We'll place the weight into our right foot. We're going to fly into our eagle. So left leg wraps over right. Now if it takes a couple of steps to get to that, that's fine. Some of these transitions are just meant to be more playful. So you can try it, see if it works, but ultimately we'll come into our eagle. So with the left leg wrapped over, you can also kickstand the toes if you're feeling a little wobbly. And you breathe here. You can imagine that you're being wrapping around a fire pole. The gaze is steady. So maybe you find something that's not moving to gaze at, that's your drishti. And when our gaze is steady, our mind is steady too. And still balancing on that right leg. We're going to unwrap our eagle, fly into airplane. So hips square to the earth, those arms are flying out like airplanes. You can almost imagine that the hands are pressing on two imaginary pillars which are supporting you. But the chest is open and lifted, almost like you were in your upward facing dog. You can keep a little bend in that front knee, and then we'll gently step back, coming into our crescent lunge. So crescent lunge, knee is over ankle, you're on the ball of your back foot. You can drop the back knee to hover, and then straighten the back leg. Hands can come to heart center, open wide like a T. We'll take a high twist to the right. So crescent lunge, high twist. Windmill open, warrior two. So in warrior two, you've got heel to instep alignment. That front knee is over ankle, arms are parallel, shoulders stacked over hips, and your gaze is right at that middle finger. And breathing here. And finding ease in the pose, ease in the posture. Maybe even the corners of your mouth turn up into a smile. When we smile, we are literally changing the physiology of our body. We're letting it know that we are safe, that we're okay. On your next inhale, straighten the front leg, hands come high, gentle warrior. And then exhale, warrior two. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, coming back down. One more time, inhale to rise. And then exhale, coming right back down. You can keep those warrior two legs. On an inhale, you can reverse your warrior, stretch out the right side of your body. And then on an exhale, right forearm to right thigh will come into our side angle. So in your side angle, you can maybe even widen your stance slightly, drop that back heel back a little bit. That top hand can be above the head, reaching forward, or maybe it wraps behind in a half or full bind. But we'll be here for a few breaths. So just getting into your full expression of your side angle, remembering to root the feet down to the earth, chest is corkscrewing to the sky. And then you remember to breathe. That breathing is an important part in all of this. Some say that yoga is less of a physical practice and more of a breathing practice. You might notice sometimes when you get into more challenging poses, your inclination might be to stop breathing. That's exactly when we need to breathe the most. So our breath has it's both energizing, it gives us the energy to persevere, but it's also calming. And it tells our nervous system that we're okay. And we can remember that in life too. Sometimes when we're in complicated situations or having a tough conversation, we stop to breathe. We can remember to breathe. Coming back to your warrior two. Inhale, reverse your warrior. And then you can straighten that front leg. You can toe heel the back foot up a little bit. We'll set up for triangle or trikonasana now on the right. So both feet flat on the earth, arms can come parallel. You can reach for the front of your mat, and then right hand can come down to the shin or the block as the hips stack as you rotate to the left. Breathing here. You can gaze at the wall ahead, or if it feels okay in your neck, you can rotate it to face the hand, to look at the hand. And then core strength brings you right back up. We'll set up now for half moon. So if you have a block, you'll want to place it in your right hand, and it'll go about 6 to 12 inches to the right of your right foot, right underneath your shoulder. Hips can stack on one another. Left hand reaches to the sky. Now, if you don't have a block and half moon feels a little inaccessible, you can come into your warrior two, placing the weight into your front foot, just lifting the back leg up. You come into like a flying warrior stance. So either one, flying warrior or your half moon. And breathing here. You can keep a little bit of a bend in that front knee. So whenever we're in those balancing one-legged positions, we always want to keep a little bit of a bend. So it's our muscles doing the work, not our joints locking out. You can gently, see if you can come back silently and gently back to your warrior two. And we'll pivot to the left. Toes come out to 10 and 2, and we're in our goddess pose. So shoulders stacked over hips. Knees over ankles, breathing here. So we're going to be here for a couple of breaths, so we're going to try to stay low, but of course if you need to straighten the legs, straighten them, and then just come right back down. So while Lakshmi bestows great outer wealth, she also helps us focus on cultivating inner wealth. And it's the inner wealth that we really need to feel happy, to feel content, to feel joyful. So sometimes we place a lot of emphasis on outer wealth, but you probably know that if you've ever really wanted something, a material good or possession, once you actually got it, that feeling does not last that long. It's not as sustainable. So really what we're looking for is to build inner wealth. And breathing here. And maybe take a break, straighten the legs, and come right back down. And you can do that whenever you need, because I'm going to tell you a little bit more about Lakshmi. So Lakshmi has 4 arms, and they really represent the 4 aims in life. So the first aim is artha, and that's material goods. So it's like food, shelter, clothing. It's all the things we need to survive, and it's all of our stuff. And then there's kama, and that's really our emotional, physical pleasure. It's, are we doing things that bring pleasure and joy? Are we engaging in meaningful relationships? Do we pursue activities that light us up? The third arm is dharma. That's our meaning, our life's purpose. Do we feel that our life has meaning? Do we feel that we're doing what we're called to do? And then there's moksha. And you need the first 3 in order to realize moksha, and that's spiritual liberation or freedom. Can we cultivate a sense of peace or equanimity through the inevitable ups and downs of life? And do we feel that we're connected to a force higher than ourselves? And so we need all 4 to be happy and content. So often we focus on artha when we think of abundance, but we need to remember that we also have to equally cultivate kama, dharma, and moksha. That's a long story for goddess. You can straighten the legs and then come right back down. Pivot to the right, coming back into your warrior two. Inhale, reverse your warrior. And exhale, hands windle back down to the earth. You can step back to your high plank, low push-up. Inhale, upward facing dog. And exhale, downward facing dog. So breathing here. And so that's really something to consider though when we think of the 4 aims of life. We have to remember not to focus just on our material goods, but on karma, our relationships. Are we pursuing things that we find pleasurable? Dharma, do we feel our life has meaning? Are we living to our purpose? And moksha, do we have a spiritual practice that keeps us grounded throughout the inevitable ups and downs of life? And breathing here. Left leg lifts high, 3-legged dog on the left. Left foot steps forward, back foot dials back, rise up, warrior 1. Hips square to the earth, both feet flat on the earth. Right arm wraps underneath left for eagle arms. Inhale, look up for a little back bend. Exhale, fold forward, coming into your humble warrior. That head just drops right to the inside of the left knee. Feet root into the earth, rise back up to standing, keeping those eagle arms or your variation of eagle. We'll place the weight to the left foot. Right leg wraps around and we come into our full eagle. Remember, this can take a couple of steps for you. There's no right or wrong. Meet us in eagle however you want to get there. Breathing here. Balancing on that left foot, we'll unwrap our eagle arms, fly back into airplane. In airplane, the hips stay squared, chest is lifted, and we've got those 2 imaginary pillars which are supporting us. And you're keeping a little bit of a bend in that front knee. And you can see if you can gently step that back foot back and come into our crescent lunge. So in crescent lunge, you're on the ball of your back foot, front knee is over ankle. If you feel a little wobbly in your crescent lunge, you can widen your stance. We'll drop the back knee to hover, and then straighten out the back leg. Hands can come to heart center, open wide like a T. We'll take a high twist to the left. So our crescent lunge, high twist. And we'll windmill open, warrior 2. So settling into your warrior 2, heel to instep alignment. And you guys stay where you are. I'm just going to change my position so you don't need to look at the back of me. And in our warrior 2, that front knee is actually tracking to the upper left corner of the mat. So you can almost sense it feeling grounded but yet open. And breathing here. On your next inhale, straighten the front leg, hands come high, gentle warrior. Exhale, warrior 2. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, coming back down. One more time. Inhale to rise. And then exhale, come right back down. Keeping those warrior 2 legs. We're going to inhale to reverse your warrior. And then exhale, coming into your side angle. Left forearm rest on the left thigh. It does not collapse into it. Maybe you widen your stance. That back heel can drop back a little bit. Now we'll be here for a couple of breaths. So making any adjustments or modifications. So coming into your full expression of your side angle. And breathing here. So what I sometimes have some of my students do is an ideal life writing exercise. So maybe this is something that you want to do as well, is start thinking about your life in terms of artha, kama, dharma, and moksha. And you think about, in 5 years, what would your ideal life look like in terms of the 4 aims of life? And be really as specific as possible. Like who you're with, where you're living, what you're doing, what clothes you're wearing. So as specific as possible. What are you doing for pleasure? Because it's amazing. Once we start writing down our dreams, our intent, our life has an interesting way of starting to direct us towards that. But if we don't ever take the time to really think about where we're wanting to go, it's almost like we're doing things somewhat aimlessly. So this is a really, really powerful exercise. So I encourage you, if not today, to do it at some point. So really getting specific about what your ideal life would look like in 5 years in terms of those 4 aims. Keeping those warrior 2 legs, rise back up, warrior 2. Inhale, reverse your warrior, and then straighten that front leg. And toe heel the back foot up a little bit. We'll set up now for Trikonasana on the left. Arms can come parallel to the earth. You try to reach for the front of the room. Left hand comes down to the shin or block, hips stack, opening to the right. Core strength will bring you right back up. So now we're going to set up either for our half moon or for our flying warrior. So if you have a block, that can go in your left hand. And if you don't have a block, you can come into your flying warrior. So that's warrior 2, and then just lifting the back leg up. And keep a little bit of a bend in that front knee. You'll gently make your way back. Warrior 2. You can pivot to the right, coming into your 5-pointed star. This time we're going to bring our hands to our hips. Toes can come slightly inward. So we're going to come into our wide-legged forward fold, but we're going to do so with a flat back and bent knees at first. So I'm going to rotate just so you guys can see me. But toes are slightly inward, hands on hips. Take an inhale, look up, opening up the chest. And then on the exhale, start to really bend the knees. We're going to come into our flat back. So just like we do with our sun salutations, so you can bend your knees quite a bit here. So if you want to imagine the sacrum was going into one direction, crown of the head of the other, and we're just looking for length. So we're lengthening the spine. Gaze is at the earth, breathing here. And then if that feels okay, you can keep the length of the spine. Start to straighten the legs, hinging at the hips. Let the head hang heavy. Maybe you bring your hands to the ankles or they start to walk through, but breathing here. And it's not a matter about how low you can get your head. Really think about it more as about how high you can get your hips. And bring your hands back underneath the shoulders. Bend the knees, lengthen the spine. So we'll come up the same way we came down. So we'll start with that flat back. Hands can come to hips, and then straighten the legs and you're back up to your standing. Pivot to the left, coming back into your warrior 2 on the left. Inhale, reverse your warrior. Exhale, hands windmill back down to the earth. You can step back to your high plank, coming down through your low push-up. Inhale, upward facing dog. And exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, tiptoes. Exhale, bend the knees, walk or hop to the front of your mat. Inhale, bend the knees to lengthen. Exhale, forward fold. Drop the hips, coming right back into your Utkatasana, your chair pose. So feet rooted into the earth here. You bring your hands to heart center. So we'll place the weight into our right foot. We're going to come into our standing figure 4. So left ankle can cross right on top of the right knee. So I'll just pivot so you guys can see. So we're just going to, it's kind of like a one-legged Utkatasana. Left ankle is on right knee, hands are at heart center. Breathing here, you can find something to gaze at. Again, that's your drishti, something that's not moving. And balancing on that right foot, we'll rise up to standing, bringing the left knee with us. Right hand crosses along the left knee. We come into our dancing Shiva. This is like our one-legged Tadasana high twist. And we'll come back to center, coming back into your standing figure four. I know this is a lot of balancing, so if you fall out, no worries, you come right back in. Balancing is a little, you never really know. Some days you can balance, some days you can't, but I always encourage you to look at it with curiosity and playfulness. Rise back up, right hand along left knee, dancing Shiva. And come back to center. You take that left foot, place it anywhere on the right leg except for the knee, and we'll come into our tree pose. Hands can be at heart center. Maybe you grow your tree here. Opening up the chest. Thanking the sun for coming out again today. We have no promises that it will. Hands can come to heart center. Left foot can come back down to the earth. You can shake it out a little bit. With the feet hips width apart, draw back in. Utkatasana, hands can come to the sky, lowering the hips, spine long. Bring the hands back to heart center. This time placing the weight into your left foot, we'll come into our standing figure four. So right ankle on top of left knee. Like our one-legged chair pose. Trying to keep the hips low, the foot is flexed, breathing here. And we'll start to rise back up. Bring that right knee with you. Left hand come to the outside of the right knee. We'll take a high twist to the right, dancing Shiva. Coming back through center, sit back down into your standing figure four. And rise back up, dancing Shiva. Left hand goes to the outside of the right knee. Coming back through center, that right foot goes anywhere on the left leg, coming into tree pose. Anywhere except for the knee. So it's like the inner thigh, the calf, or you can kickstand on the earth. You can grow your tree. Hands can come back to heart center. And then right foot comes down to the earth. Shake it out so we are just about on the earth. Inhale, hands come high. And then exhale, bend the knees, forward fold. Inhale, bend the knees, lengthen the spine. And then exhale, plant the hands. You can step right back to your high plank. So shoulders over wrist here, core is engaged, breathing here. Then you can come to your knees, coming into your tabletop. And then we're going to rise right on top of our knees. So you can have the knees, the toes curled under, if that feels good. So we're going to sit back on our heels. So this is toes pose, and it can be a little bit uncomfortable, though it is good for your feet. So you can see how long you last. The more you do it, the easier it gets. You might need to take your little pinkies and curl it under to make sure they're getting it as well, too. But coming into your toes pose, and again, if this just does not feel accessible, just put your feet flat on the earth and sit back on your heels. You can bring your hands to Anjali Mudra, so prayer hands. We're going to keep the pinky and the thumb connected, and then opening up the other three fingers. So this is our Padma Mudra, or Lotus Mudra. So Lakshmi is also often associated with the pink lotus. And the lotus is very symbolic in both like Hindu and Buddhist traditions because it's this beautiful flower and it grows out of the murky water. And really what it's telling us is that even when things look tough or bleak, there's always beauty, there's always growth, and really that's our job, is to find that. So despite any situation, where can we find the beauty? Where can we grow? Where can we evolve? This mudra is also associated with the heart opening, so opening our heart to love and generosity. So maybe you close your eyes for a moment here, just holding this mudra right at heart center and breathing. So a mudra is an energy lock or an energy sail. And these hand gestures help us to cultivate a particular type of energy and keep it within us. And the energy that we're looking for here is really opening blossom, opening for loving. You can bring your hands back to heart center, Anjali Mudra. You can bring your hands down to the earth. And maybe just tap out your feet a little bit here. And then you can come sitting on your bum. You bring the soles of the feet together. So this is coming into our Baddha Konasana. So you can hold the toes here. So starting to come into more of our winding down, stretching period. So you can inhale to lengthen the spine and then exhale, just hinging at the hips. You can start to fold over, but you don't need to curve the spine like in our cat pose. Try to keep the spine long. And start to rise back up. You can extend the left leg out, sole of the right foot to the inner thigh. Inhale to lengthen. You can pivot the torso so it's in line with the leg. And exhale, folding forward. You can start to rise back up. Take the right hand, plant it behind you. We'll lift the hips up, coming into our baby wild thing. So a little back bend. You can lift the hips. The left hand can come behind you. And then hips can come back down to the earth. Taking the left foot, cross it along the outside of the right knee. Maybe position so your sit bones are evenly on the earth. Right hand comes high. We'll start to twist to the left, keeping the spine long. That right elbow can hook along the outside of the left knee for your seated side twist. If this doesn't feel accessible, you can just grab that left knee and just give it a hug. Coming back through center. So your right knee should be flat on the earth. We're going to come into our Gomukhasa, or cow face pose. So that left knee can stack right on top of the right. If you can't get it to stack, that's okay. Just make sure it doesn't hurt. So if you feel any sharp pains in your knees, you just come back to Baddha Konasana or easy pose. But if this feels okay for you, you can inhale to lengthen. Maybe you just stay here, just holding onto your toes. If you want something a little bit deeper, you can start to walk your hands forward. And breathing here. So there's always a lot of cues in yoga, like knee over ankle, shoulder stacked over hips, and it doesn't need to be perfect. It's more an opportunity to get in touch with your body and really see how you feel in space and time. So we spend so much time in our heads that it's such a great practice to remember to come back into the body and really listen to the wisdom of what the body is telling us. With that said, if anything ever hurts, if there's ever any pains, you don't do that position. Part of that is too knowing, like, if you're in Utkatasana, like that may feel painful, but that could just be building muscle, whereas if you're in a posture where there's a sharp pain, you don't want to do that. And really, that's what this practice is all about, turning inward and being able to listen to our body and choose things that are strengthening and not weakening. You can rise back up, unwrap your legs. This time, right leg will go long, the sole of the left foot to the inner thigh. Inhale, hands come high, and swivel the hips so they're in line with the leg, and then on an exhale, folding forward. And really, those are decisions we should be making all the time, no matter what we do. Is this strengthening or weakening? Do I want to stay up and stay up late to watch another episode? Do I want to have another drink? So it's all those little thoughts that we have throughout the course of the day. It's really our inner wisdom trying to guide us. And all we need to do is ask ourselves, is this going to strengthen me or weaken me? And we can make those decisions based on that. You can rise back up, plant the left hand behind you, lift the hips high, coming into baby wild thing. And then releasing the hips back down to the earth. We'll take that right foot now, plant it on the outside of the left knee. Take a moment, sit bones even on the earth. Left hand comes high, lengthening the spine, and then twist to the right. That left elbow can come to the outside of the right knee. Coming back through center. That right knee stacks on top of the left for Gomakasa if you're going to be joining me into this posture. Staying here with spine long, or if you want, walking the hands forward. And start to rise back up. Bring both legs long in front of you. Inhale, hands come high. And then exhale, forward fold. And you can release the feet. And start making your way onto your back. You bring the soles of the feet together, hand on the heart, hand on the belly, coming into Supta Padapasana. So as I mentioned at the beginning of the practice, Lakshmi is very generous with her gifts, but she wants us to be generous as well. It's an energy that runs both ways. And often when we think of generosity, we think of, again, artha, what are the material goods we can give? But often, especially in our society at this time, sometimes we can just be generous with our time and attention. We can give people our full time and attention, let them know that we value them and that we're listening. Or maybe you just take a moment and consider how you'll be generous with someone today. Give the knees a hug in, rocking a little from side to side. And grab the inside edges of the feet, coming into happy baby, rocking back and forth. Give the knees a hug in. Arms can come wide. Drop the knees to the left as you gaze to the right. That's okay if your legs don't make it all the way down to the earth. It's more important for your upper body to stay intact. And switching sides. Knees drop to the right as you gaze to the left. And coming back through center, giving your knees one more hug in. And then releasing the legs long on the earth here, and you can take up some space. So opening the feet wide, maybe palms face the sky. And just noticing if there's any tension, so maybe you do a brief body scan as the head starts to melt into the earth, releasing any tension in the shoulders, and the hips, and the thighs and calves start to melt into the earth. As we come into our final and probably our most important posture of the practice, Shavasana. And start to wiggle the toes, the fingers, bring a little bit of consciousness back. And start to roll over to your left or right side. We'll just spend a moment or two in the fetal position, but still resting, eyes still closed, head still heavy. When you're ready, you can start to rise up to a comfortable seat. Meet with your hands at heart center. You can keep your eyes closed or gaze softly at your fingertips. And bring your thumb knuckles to your lips and to your third eye. So wishing you love, abundance, beauty on your journey, everything that is good in light in me, as to everything that is good in light in you. Namaste. Well, thank you so much for joining me. If this is your first time practicing with me, thank you, and please let me know if you have any questions. So I teach about 4 live stream classes a week, and I'll probably be adding a weekend one, maybe even next weekend. So hopefully I will see you at more classes, and I'll come over and unmute folks to see if anyone has any questions.